Good morning, Year 3. So our TLP today is, can I use verbs in a sentence? Now, we began to learn about verbs in Year 2. Every sentence must have a verb in it, and verbs are doing or being words. Here are some examples of verbs. Can you watch the next little bit of video clip and see what verbs you can spot?
Do you think this is about the right place?
Yes, Mrs. Joshi, that looks perfect.
Okay. Ow! Oh! Oh!
Are you all right, Mrs. Joshi?
Well, first things first, I must reassure you that Mrs. Joshi was fine. She's not harmed at all. She was just acting. She's a very good actor. Okay, so my first sentence from the video is going to be, Mrs. Joshi is hammering a nail into the wall. So the subject of that sentence is Mrs. Joshi. She is the person that sentence is about, Mrs. Joshi. Mrs. Joshi is hammering. I'm really trying hard to keep my handwriting nice and neat, and I'm putting in my finger spaces. Mrs. Joshi is hammering a nail into the wall. Full stop. So I need to check if I have a sentence here. Firstly, does it start with a capital letter? Yes, it does. Does it end with a full stop? A question mark or an exclamation mark? Yes, it does. But my third test is, does it have a verb in my sentence? Does it have a doing or a being word? Now, the subject of my sentence is Mrs. Joshi. What is she doing? Mrs. Joshi is hammering. Okay, that is the action that she's doing. There's the action word. Now, I'm going to take my red pencil, because we always indicate verbs in red. And I'm going to say, Mrs. Joshi is hammering a nail. That's the object of the sentence. That's the thing that the subject is acting on. So, Mrs. Joshi is hammering a nail into the wall. Okay. Now, my second sentence is, Mrs. Joshi is crying. As I'm writing that, have a little think. Have a little think. What's the verb in there going to be? Mrs. Joshi is crying. So again, I've got my subject. No object this time, don't need it. As long as I've got a subject and a verb, I've got a sentence. Who can tell me, what is the verb? That's right. Is crying. Again, I'm underlining it with my red pencil to show that this is the verb. And then finally, I'm actually going to put a sentence into the past. I'm going to say, Mr. Farrow, so a different subject this time. This sentence is all about what Mr. Farrow was doing. Mr. Farrow worried about Mrs. Joshi's hand. Mr. Farrow worried about Mrs. Joshi's hand. That's why he came into the classroom, because he was worried about her. Okay. So in the video, Mr. Farrow worried about Mrs. Joshi's hand. And our verb is worried. That's what he was doing. Now, it's not so much of an action, that's verb. It's more of a state of being. He worried. Okay, now your task today is to be a verb detective in your house. Have a little look around the house. What's going on? What actions or states of being can you see happening? Write some sentences and use a red pen, pencil, crayon, whatever you've got to underline the verbs. Now, when you're looking for verbs, something funny can happen. They change depending on whether the verb happened in the past, is happening right now this minute or will happen in the future. I'll explain to you what I mean. We won't go into too much depth on this, but it's good to see that verbs do change depending on time. So let's take an example. I looked around the house and I saw my sister baking a cake. Now, if I'm saying it happened yesterday, I might say yesterday, Sally, that's the name of my sister, Sally baked a cake. And she does make very good cakes, actually. So I'm going to take my red pencil. What did Sally do? Oh, she baked. The cake isn't a verb. You can't to cake, but you can bake something. Yesterday, Sally baked a cake. So my subject and my object. Okay. But if she was doing it today, I would say Sally bakes a cake, or I might say, like I've done before, Sally is baking a cake. She's doing it right now. It's what's happening right now. Is baking a cake. Can you spot my verb this time? That's right. Is baking. Mustn't forget the is, because that is part of this verb. Now look what's changed. It's gone from ed, because it happened yesterday, baked, to is and ing to show that it's happening right now. Sally is baking a cake. Now this is getting really fancy, but if you wanted to say that she's going to bake a cake tomorrow, I can say tomorrow. Think about how I'm going to finish that sentence. Tomorrow, Sally. I'm going to put a comma in there. Tomorrow, Sally. Let's see who got this one. Will bake a cake. I didn't mean to pick rhyming words, but I have. Tomorrow, Sally will bake a cake. That's what she's going to do tomorrow. So the endings of the verbs change. Okay, so your task is you're going to go and be a verb detective. Look around your house, what's happening. You don't have to do them with yesterday, today and tomorrow. That's fine. I just wanted to show you how the verb endings might change. You can just do them all about what's happening right now in your house. Totally up to you. If you can get parents to take a photo and email it to us, that is brilliant. Then I will be able to really carefully check, have you remembered your capitals? Have you remembered your full stop, question mark or exclamation mark at the end? And have you really spotted the verbs, the doing and being words within the sentence? Okay, I look forward to talking about these on Zoom. We'll talk through a couple of examples. You can maybe test your friends on do they know what the verb will be. And we work on this for about half an hour. Let's see how many verb sentences you can write. And I look forward to seeing you later. Goodbye.